Welcome to SibSpot. Today's featured Reddit stories are from I Don't Work Here Lady. Again, I know it's some people's favorite. Story 1 today is by Tangerine Unusual 9713. But I want coffee. I used to work in a restaurant pretty close to my place a couple nights a week while finishing up my thesis. One day, I decided to bring my computer with me so I'd have lunch and work on my research project, as it's a pretty chill place in the afternoon with calm music and an overall good vibe. People came up to me and said hi all afternoon and were genuinely happy to see me as a client, so it was a fun experience. But then a lady came in, sat down next to me, and told me she wanted coffee. Me: I don't work today. Her: but you're right here. Me: yes, but I'm working on my research project right now. Her: but you do work here. Me: yes, but not today. Her: but I want coffee. Me: there's my coworker XY, you can ask him. Her: can't you just make it for me? Me: sorry, I can't, it don't work today. Her: but it only takes a minute or so. Me: I literally am not allowed to make you coffee today, but I can tell my coworkers if you want. Her: why can't you just make it for me? How lazy are you? She left without getting one and never came back as far as I can remember. Have you guys ever seen the movie As Good as It Gets? Maybe she was like Jack Nicholson in that movie and could only tolerate one certain person making her food or coffee for her. Regardless, if that's the case, she needs to get over that. You gotta be willing to get your coffee made by somebody you may not particularly like, even if sometimes they don't make the best coffee for you. I know that when we used to go to Tim Hortons for coffee pretty regularly, there were certain people you did not want making your coffee because they would make it bad, and you knew it. And every single time you got a coffee from them, it was terrible. But then there's other people there who are so stellar at their jobs and at making coffee that you were like, yes, they made it. I know it's going to be good. Still, you just don't say to people, hey, I don't want this person making it, or I only want you making it. That's generally not a thing people should do. I don't doubt that there's people in the world that do say that to employees. I don't want you making it, I want her making it. But generally, it's not an acceptable thing to say. Down in the comments by Katie Vicky. I bet in the time it took her arguing with you about her coffee, she could have had many cups of coffee with time to spare. Underneath that by Dark Moon Runebane. I would love to see how someone would react to, but that's literally federal tax evasion. I'm not being paid, so the IRS is not collecting taxes, and that's highly illegal. I'm not comfortable committing a federal felony offense. And finally, underneath that by Web Maca. A shockingly high number of people don't get that you're not allowed to work off the clock, no matter how trivial the task may seem, and should never do so voluntarily either. See? Even I wasn't aware of that. Like, you're not getting paid for it, so you shouldn't do it, but I didn't know that it was pretty much flat out illegal for you to do somebody a favor while not on the clock. But I guess it makes sense. All these policies and procedures exist to cover people's butts, whether it's the employer or the employee or the customers. Our next story today is by Am in a Tizzy. Croissants on a high shelf. And if I'm not saying croissants properly, the French pronunciation or something like that, I apologize. I'm going to say croissants. Bit of a benign story involving my tallish self and a little old lady. Not sure if this qualifies. If you guys hear mushing noises today, it's because my cat's cleaning himself right behind me. Last week before work, I was looking for something in my local Sainsbury, high street supermarket in the UK, to deal with the inevitable mid-morning need for snacks. As I managed to drag myself away from the bakery items, I came across an elderly lady trying in vain to reach the packets of croissants that were on the highest shelf. She was a little on the small side, so it was a bit of an on tiptoes with arms above her head effort. Anyway, she saw me, 5'10" and a much taller woman, and rather pleadingly pointed at the croissants and repeated, "Long date, long date." Not really sure if she thought I worked there or not, and her English was limited, clearly, so I don't think she was being rude. I've been well trained in the art of reaching for unreachable things, from the grand old age of 12 when my second-year semester high school biology teacher couldn't reach the windows in the lab over the bookshelves. I found her a pack of croissants with the longest date from the back of the shelf, except she wanted all the longest date ones. I think I ended up getting her about 6 packs down. I got a little smile and thanks, and then off I went back to my search for snacks. Think I got some chips. As somebody who is short, I've never experienced being asked to get something off a high shelf. I am strong, so I've been asked to get things off a shelf and put it in somebody's cart before. But never have I ever been asked to reach for a high shelf because I'm short. Down in the comments by Join My Pesto Cult, I can't help but read that title in the Ninja Turtles Heroes in a Half Shell manner. Alright, let's take one more look at the title here. Croissants on a high shelf. Croissant power? I would say so. Yeah. Now that's going to be stuck in my head. Do 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 do. Croissants on a high shelf. Croissant power. All right. Anyway, our last story today is by Lazy Appearance 5919. Dude flips out, thinks he's having his I don't work here moment because a lady kindly asked him for help. My wife and I are at Walmart having a heated exchange with the invisible forces that keep raising the price on butter when we hear this dude yelling from further down the dairy aisle. We use all our cunning to pretend like we're super interested in the cottage cheese so we could sneak close. Now, of course, I missed what had happened initially, but the guy had yelled, "I don't work here." So of course I thought I was about to see some Karen moment happening between he and this tiny woman he was facing down. Instead, the woman says, "I understand you don't work here. I just thought maybe you would reach the milk for me, but if you can't, that's fine." Instead of acknowledging her request, the guy goes, "What makes you think I work here? I don't work here." She apologizes for upsetting him and then begins to climb her 5'0" self up the side of the dairy case in an effort to get some almond milk. Luckily, an associate quickly scuttled over and grabbed her the milk, but this dude can't let it rest. He actually demands that the actual employee tell her he doesn't work there. For his part, the employee must have heard what was happening because even he said, "No one's saying you work here, sir. I think she just thought you'd help because you're tall." "Well, I don't work here, so I don't have to," he rebuttals. "Yes, that's fine," said the employee before excusing himself from this moron. The woman thanks the worker, and even as she's walking away, this guy's still just fuming. I expected him to keep yelling, but he storms off. I felt sort of sad that no one had called a manager. Like, I thought I'd finally witnessed this level of BS people are always talking about on here. Instead, from the second I got home, I've been watching this subreddit, eagerly expecting this dude to make a post where he lied his butt off, and I could call him out on it. Well, that doesn't seem to be happening, so I thought I'd just post it myself. Also, before anyone asks, both he and this woman were clearly white, so I doubt this was a racial thing. Down in the comments by Principal Superb 2884. Well, he didn't have to help, but he didn't have to be a jerk either. At 6'2", I'm always happy to help when people ask. But that's me. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a warm day.